along with the letter I sent out, I included a list of people to contact. But the real issue is that when federal agents are doing crimes, like when they're like undercover cops, like that are doing something that's very illegal, they never want to tell you their name. So they use nicknames, which I think the drug dealers do that a lot too. There's a guy named Bear that was, so when I was, 13 years old, 14 years old, I ran away from home and I lived in a trailer park initially, and then I ended up living in Colorado Springs in a boiler room underneath an ice cream shop. And I had a group of friends that were my friends, and I guess they got me meth. I don't know how often I saw them do meth, but I'm sure some of them did meth and cocaine and stuff like that. And so this guy, Bear, I kind of hung out with him a lot. He was older than me. He said he was a Crip from Detroit who was on the run from the cops for stealing a car. And then there was a guy named Strife who said he was both a Crip and he was Mexican Mafia, and I think he was folk too, all at the same time. And he tried to talk me into robbing an armored car. And then there was a guy named Squirrel, and Squirrel beat up like a little kid once that was like 12, and Squirrel was like 18. And maybe Squirrel was just, you never really know who's who. Like maybe people just all have nicknames. I didn't really have a nickname, but they called me Pee-wee, which apparently is a young gang member that just joined a gang, and then they tattooed Pee-wee on my back. And I eventually thought it was to make me look like I was gang affiliated. That tattoo is now covered up. But so the reason I thought about that is because there's this guy named Callie who knows who he is. And there's this girl named Riot. And I'm sure that everyone's going to say Riot isn't a federal agent. And what I'll tell you is I don't understand how she found my tent. When I got to the Rainbow Gathering, I set up my tent by myself. I was at the Rainbow Gathering without her. My dog was with me, and I didn't set up my tent with friends. And the next thing you know, I woke up the next morning and her tent was set up next to mine. And so somehow she found me. And so all I'm saying is, like, somehow she always found me. But she was a 14-year-old girl that was, like, constantly giving me presents and stuff like that. And I'm sure they're going to say, well, she wasn't a federal agent. Of course she's not. She was 14 years old. But for some reason, she was a 14-year-old that was encouraged to follow me around. And at some point, we all have to ask ourselves, why were these federal agents using little kids to follow people around? I don't know, but I'm trying to figure out this whole situation in general because I want to figure out how the FBI has gotten away with targeting little kids by using nicknames, because I can't out these people. Just like when I was in this hotel room on Academy, and I'm pretty sure I was with Bear, and I probably was with Strife, and that's what their names were. And I'm sitting on this bed, and this guy just starts punching me in the side of the head, like just wham, 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 wham. And he like hit me like 4 times, and then I blocked, and I was like, you're not gonna hurt me. And he hurt me because he was a grown man. He was like 28 years old. That's the thing about federal agents trying to set people up to get in fights with federal agents. Yeah, they're not afraid to set you up to get into a fight with a Fed. You know why? Because the Feds are trained fighters. They're very, very serious about their training. So they want you to fight this person. So all I'm saying is, like, these federal agents that are trying to get people in fights with other federal agents because they know these people know how to throw down, and seriously, when I was 14, I got jumped by one. I don't know his name. Bear probably knows his name. Who knows who Bear is? No one does, because they all have nicknames. And so at some point, people need to know what's going on, which is like a bunch of dirty cops are using nicknames to target little kids well, they're not little kids. When I was 14, I wasn't a little kid. I thought I was a grown man. Once I hit 12, I was a man, because that's what Christianity says. That's what Judaism says. But the reality is I wasn't. I was very naive, and I had no idea that these people were trying to ruin me. And all I'm saying is, if I had stayed in Manitou Springs, I was there. If I had stayed in Manitou Springs for longer than a year, I would be in jail right now. I was only there for like a year. Like when I talk about all these times I got robbed, and I can't even remember every time I got robbed, what I'll tell you is I was there for less than a year. These people are psychopaths. Our jails are full of people that were set up. So at some point, we need to go do a serious examination of the Manitou Springs Police Department and figure out how many dirty cops are a part of this group. Because how many of them are there? A lot. I'm just saying, like, this is the cops and the feds. They work together. And at some point, they need to go down. And that's why I'm trying so hard to contact people. I'm going to go finish my mail out. But, dude, someone has to stop these people.